maybe Jesus wants to walk into a place in your life, part of your heart that you don't think is possible. It was a beautiful day the other day. Went for a walk and found myself in one of the city parks. And I stopped in because I needed to use the restroom and walked into this city park here in the Bronx. And went into the bathroom, walked into the midst of a few different guys who are in here who are preparing to shoot up. Sadly, it's a reality here, right? A lot of drug use. And I remember as I was just walking through the door, I could just like feel the heaviness of the space. And I went to the restroom, and as I was getting ready to walk out, I just heard one of the guys, they were Latino, he said, "Dios mío," he said, "My God." And as I heard that, I just turned and I looked at him for a moment. And when he looked at me, all I could do was just feel in my heart this pain in the heart of God for this man who was before me suffering. And in that moment, as I walked out the door, I just had a small smile for him, didn't really know and feel that there was something more in the moment that I could do. But as I walked out, the song in Spanish came to me, which is Dios está aquí. And I was just overwhelmed with the reality that in this place of like such deep darkness, right? Like walking into this room where these people are inside a park and they're hiding to be able to use drugs. And just thinking about like God is here, and like God is here, I think, because of who Jesus is. Not just in a sort of abstract way, but like the reality that these guys whose arms and legs and who knows what else has been punctured so many times throughout their life with this addiction, they can look at the heart of Jesus. It's like totally pierced through, punctured again and again, and see somebody who might have something of a sense of what it means to suffer, what it means to be in a place of darkness. I don't want to be too heavy and heady with this, but the reality that I was thinking of as I was coming out of there is that in my own life, right, there's places in my life, parts of my story, where I've looked at this particular area in my heart, this part of my experience, this failing, this sin, this moment of trauma, this moment in my family of crisis. I can look at these moments and it's been hard for me, honestly, to like see God there. And I was thinking about this journey into the heart and journey into the desert and this vulnerability. I realized that one of the reasons that my own heart hesitates at times to like go into these places is because the last thing I expect to find there is God. As I walked into this bathroom, I'm just a dude in some sense, but I'm not just a dude. Like I'm a man who's consecrated. I'm one who is wearing this gray robe, right? This outfit that is sort of saying that I belong to God in a certain way. And they knew that. They stopped and paused for a moment in what they were doing. And then I was able to just look at this one man in the eyes. I just thought, like how long has it been since anybody's just like looked him in the eyes with a sense of compassion, with love, with tenderness. And it's not like that my heart is so awesome, but that his heart was in me in that moment and I felt it. God wants to come into those places in your heart where you think he can't show up or he's not there. He wants to come into the parts of your struggle with sin. He wants to meet you in these places, right, with his presence. Maybe in an unexpected way, the door opens and in walks Jesus. And here he is looking at us, not looking at you with condemnation, not looking at you with disappointment, looking at you with tenderness, with compassion, suffer with, con passio, to suffer with. This is the heart of Jesus. This is the heart of God. And I'm also blessed here in the Bronx to be able to witness what happens when someone allows themselves to really experience that love in a deep way. We have a homeless shelter, St. Anthony's Shelter for Renewal, and one of the men that came here almost half a year ago walked in the door, closed in, suspicious, looking around, just sort of like wouldn't talk, was hardened on the surface in so many ways. He looked as if he was just like frantically afraid of the world around him. And over time, over a few days, weeks, and then a month, 2 months, something happened in his heart. And it was amazing to watch this man begin to transform, to be transformed by allowing himself to receive the only thing that honestly, like we just wanted to give him, which is like the love of God. And this love that began to pour into these places, and we began to hear more of his story, and he began to share more, opened him up to this grace of being able to release deep places of pain. And as that was released, and as he surrendered himself in this deeper way to the Lord, this childlike joy started to overcome him. And it was hilarious. He'd like walk in, and he'd just be smiling, grinning from ear to ear. And then he began to see the world in a different way. He began to see the world in a way that that it seems as if many do not. And it's in some ways easy to realize why not if you walk around the South Bronx where we live, like a lot of heaviness, a lot of darkness. And he'd come back and he'd be like, man, such a beautiful day. And I'd be like, really? It's like, what was it? He's like, I wish that I could let people see what I see. There's so much goodness. And it seems like he's saying that people just like, they don't see it. And interestingly, right, after I came out of that bathroom in the Bronx and I began to walk the streets, even though my heart was like carrying the pain of these men that I had seen in there, I began to look around. And it was crazy because it felt like all of a sudden the world around me just came alive. And this sense of the goodness and the love and the heart of God for everyone was just, I don't know, like it just overcame me. And I was sitting here just beginning to pray in a deeper way, beginning to, even in the midst of that sorrow, find a sense of joy that like God sees us. He's coming for us. We celebrate this and we believe this as Christians, that God so loved the world that he sent his only son here for you, for me, that we would know that love would be tangible, that we could encounter it. And this invitation, this Lent to vulnerability, to going into the heart, is an invitation to open up to this possibility that like maybe Jesus wants to walk into a place in your life, part of your heart that you don't think is possible. One of those places that I really sense God for me, like saying like, would you come into this place, is the place of prayer, is the place of the quiet, is the place of this silence that a desert is. And I think this Lent, he's inviting you, he's calling you, he's saying, would you come step into a place of prayer with me? That is to say, would you step out of the noise of life, allow yourself to be still before me? Is there any place where maybe Jesus is inviting you to open that door so he can come into it? So that it could be a place where, maybe right now the whole situation isn't going to be fixed by opening it up, but maybe you're going to be able to realize that he's not looking at you with condemnation. He's not looking at you with shame. He's not looking at you with disappointment. He's looking at you with the tenderness and the love of a heart that's been pierced for you. And this is the heart that we're invited into. This is the place of intimacy. This is a place of vulnerability that the Lord invites you to this week. And so I would ask you and challenge you, if you want to keep going into that deep during this upcoming week, each day take time, 5 minutes, and just sit with the Lord and just say, Lord, show me, is there any place in my heart? Is there any place in my story? Is there any place in my family where I believe that you weren't there and you can't be there? Show me. And I say yes to you opening that door and walking in and looking at me with love, because that's what he wants to do. And it's his love that heals us, that transforms us. So let's continue to ask for the courage to follow his footsteps and go deeper into this mystery of surrendering our hearts to his heart. God bless.